We'll do it live! Fuck it! Do it live!
Welcome to the Mouthpiece, episode 83, year 3. Today we got a special guest, 2021 World Series of Poker Player of the Year, Mr. Josh Arieh. We also going to talk about my trip to Texas, the NBA playoffs, politics if you want to talk, whatever you want to talk. The World Series is coming up soon. The Mouthpiece is next. What up? What up? Welcome to the Mouthpiece. It's 4 o'clock Pacific. NBA playoffs start this weekend. It sucks not having my Lakers in, but what a disaster that was. I truly believe it will be the Phoenix Suns and the Boston Celtics in the finals, or the Phoenix Suns and Miami, or it could be the Bucks. But I think it's going to be Boston. I said that before Williams went down. I don't know. They say he's going to be back in the next couple days. Dramatic win yesterday. That series is going to be amazing. So I'm pretty looking forward to that. But let's start off on the top of the show. My trip to Texas at 52 Social. We had another grand opening down there in which I showed up. I brought in about an extra 2 tables. A lot of people came in wanting to play with me. It's really a beautiful place. I mean, they have guaranteed tournaments every day. I think it's $2,000 guaranteed tournaments every day, $52 buy-in. And they have full bar and restaurant. And the thing that really gets me really excited about being involved with them is it's the only card room in Austin that has a full bar and restaurant. And I just believe, and from the people I know from when I was there, when I went to the lodge in June of last year, a lot of the people I got to know came in and saw me at the 52 Social, and they all said the same things, that this place is so nice and they'd really like to play there, but you know, it needs to be run a little bit better, and that's where I come in. So I feel real good about it. The finalization of my total involvement won't be public for another couple weeks. So I don't want to tease you all and tell you all what I'm going to be doing at 52 Social. I will tell you this. I will be involved doing meetup games on a regular basis after the World Series ends. As far as the club goes, if you're in Austin, Texas, I think there's no better place to play poker at. We have 1-2, 1-3 games that are really good. I played some 2-5 PLO and some 5-10 PLO. I played a 2-5 PLO where every pot was $10,000. I mean, you can't make this up. And they tell me, I said, this is crazy. And they're like, oh, this is the small game. So on the last day I was there, they had a 2-5-10 PLO, and I was getting ready to play. There was $250,000 on the table and a 2-5-10 PLO. It was absolutely bizarre. So the games in Texas are really good. Really, really good. We just started a live stream. I played, you could check it out. I think if you go to their website, 52 Social live stream, I played quarter, 50, 100 for about 4 hours on the stream on Monday. I played really, really good, except for one hand, and I kind of break down why I called the hand that I did. And I knew he had the ace of diamonds in his hand, and I almost found a fold. He doesn't have ace king. The way he bet the flop, I don't know. I just didn't think he had it, and he had flopped the nut flush. I had top pair, and I'm not used to calling off 4,600 with one pair. It's just something I don't do, and it ends up he flatted with aces pre-flop, and so there was 3 diamonds on the board, and I was right. He had the ace of diamonds. I was right. He would have re-raised with ace king, but I didn't see a guy who was that aggressive that would flat aces to a raise, and he got me. And I ended up breaking even in the game, but I was up like 8,000. But that's on me. I made one mistake, but overall, if you watch the stream, I picked off every bluff. I made value bluffs myself. My timing was perfect, except for one hand. And I literally lost. I was up 8,000. I lost 7,500 in that one hand. So, hey, it is what it is. So Texas is on my horizon. I will give you guys final tallies on what I'm going to be doing there. But it looks like as soon as the World Series is over, I will be moving out of Las Vegas and running 52 Social with my 2 good friends, Todd and Jason. Now, if you guys remember, I made an announcement back in the end of January, early February about the Dallas situation where me, Todd, and Jason were going to be running that. Like I told you guys a few weeks ago, how that fell through. And unfortunately for them, that's their loss. So I feel really good about this. And like I said before, I'm not going to 52 Social to hurt Doug Polk's place or across the street, the lodge. I like the people who are the owners there. I like the way it's run. I like everything about them. And the more people we bring to the Austin area, and especially in the same area, if you have, even if there's 3 or 4 or 5 poker, even though there's only 2 in this area, the more, if they're all centrally located, the more people are going to come out, the more it's going to blow up Texas poker. So unfortunately, they feel threatened by me and us. And because we have a full bar and restaurant and it's such a nice place, it is a little bit nicer than the lodge. But I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I'm not there. I'm not there to take one game from them. I'm there to help build the Austin, Texas market and to try and keep making poker in Texas flourish, because I truly believe in 3 years from now, every big tournament is all going to be in Texas. And it wouldn't shock me one bit once the MGM, they're supposed to be, according to what Mark Cuban said, they're supposed to be legalizing casinos out there, and within 3 or 4 years opening casinos, which will have big poker rooms. And I believe all big tournaments are going to be I believe Texas will be the poker capital of the world. Wouldn't shock me in 10 years if Caesars owns a casino in Texas and the World Series of Poker is in Texas. Wouldn't shock me. Matter of fact, I'm going to make a prediction. 10 years from now, the World Series will be in Texas. I just think that the expansion of the casinos and what's going on out there, I just think Texas is where it's at. And, I'm willing to stake my reputation, and every quarter I have to my name on it. So I'm kind of going all in on Texas. So I will give you guys a final tally of what's going on in Texas when it does. So with that in mind, I am about to bring in a very good friend of mine who won the 2021 Player of the Year at the World Series of Poker. And we're going to talk a lot about that. And he's got some great gambling stories coming up, including one with Michael Jordan, which I think you guys will find somewhat interesting. So with further ado, we will bring in my good friend, Josh Arieh. Josh, are you there?
Not yet.
All right. Well, we'll wait to get him on. And there's a lot of things we got to talk about.
Somebody on Twitter wanted you guys to talk about both of you having classes with Raymer in '04.
Oh, okay. So, Josh, oh, where are you, oh, Josh? Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, so things are good. Can't complain. I blew 15,000 in a poker game last night. Played as bad as I could play, but that happens. I was due to play bad, and I didn't even run bad. I just played bad. So it happens, and it always happens when I hadn't played in 10 days. Whenever I take an extended period off and I jump in a game, I always get crushed. I should know better. I said I wasn't going to play. They asked me to jump in late at night, and I did like an idiot, and God, I played bad. Oh, God. But listen, I know when I play bad. Josh, you there?
What's up, Mikey?
What's up? Josh Arieh, everybody. What's going on, my man?
Hey. Not much, just everyday life stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we used to talk a lot back in the days, and you live in Atlanta. We haven't talked like we're always good friends, but we don't really talk that much. I see you got yourself a nice new girlfriend that you're real happy with.
Yeah, Rachel's a good girl, man. We've been together for we met at the World Series in 19, and we've been together since. She's
that's awesome, man. Yeah,
a great person and really positive influence on me.
That's great. So do you think that that meeting her had a big influence on how you did in the World Series on 2021?
I think that it's a factor, but it's more of a big picture thing.
Correct. I always tell people, sorry to interrupt you, but I always tell people, like, when your relationship is good, it's poker, everything kind of falls together,
For me, it's more of more than just relationship. It's about getting my whole life to a place that I'm happy about. And for a while, I was not in a good place, and I picked things up in 2019, and really started to worked on improving my life and improving the person that I am. And so, and made some changes and was able to meet an amazing person along the way. And, she's just one of the factors in my life, being much better than it was.
That's really good to hear. So, like, I could pretty much say the same thing. So, a lot of people don't know, and they filmed a documentary for my life at the World Series last year, and a lot of people don't know what I go through. Ever since my injury in 2014, I spent 5 years blaming the whole world, feeling sorry for myself, and my life was just spinning and spinning and spinning. And once I stopped feeling sorry for myself and made some adjustments in my life got got really good. Poker got really good. I started making a lot of money. I don't bet sports anymore. I haven't bet sports in about 4.5 years. I mean, I might make $1,000 bet on a game a couple times, maybe 5 times.
I know exactly what you mean. You're not looking at the rotation numbers every night and
yeah. And I don't even look like even the NBA playoffs. I like to bet like 1,000 on the games, right? And I've made one bet on the NBA playoffs since they started. Of course, I lost.
The playoffs are exciting. Anytime there's an exciting event, I do enjoy putting a little money on it because it makes it even more exciting. Like playoff professional athletes. When they are giving it their best, it's amazing, the product that the NBA playoffs, the Major League Baseball playoffs, the NFL playoffs, it's exciting shit. And, if you can afford to bet a little something on it, it makes it so much better. But back to what I want to rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
Back to what you were saying about taken responsibility for the things that have happened to you.
Yeah.
I know. I went to the Choice Center. I think it was around 2014. And I agree that it's a cult and it's a scam and a pyramid scheme.
But it could help. If it helps you, it makes a difference. So I don't care if it helps one person, you know?
There was 2 things that I got from the Choice Center. And I learned to take responsibility for everything that happens to me. And that freed me in so many ways. There was so many times where I was so angry and thinking, I can't believe this happens to me. I can't believe this is happening. Why is this happening? I'm so out of control. To going there and having a complete flip to figuring out what I did to cause this to happen to me. And there are things that happen to you that you're that are out of your control or out of my control. There were things that were happening to me, and I accepted that, and I accepted that there's nothing I can do for things that are out of my control. But a majority of the time I was able to really, dig deep and find out something that I could have done different to cause that. Yeah. And another thing that was really big for me at the Choice Center was figuring out how I would deflect when pain would start. Like when there was something that I didn't want to deal with, I would just deflect everything after that. So relating that into poker is I would take a bad beat and then I would just try to get all in and not care because I didn't want to deal with the pain anymore. Yeah. But from there, I would take a bad beat and continue to keep my best foot forward and to keep battling. But yeah, this isn't a commercial for the Choice Center. Right. There was a lot of practices that they did that I did not enjoy, that I did not like. Right. But yeah, it was good for me, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people that it was good for, and other people that it wasn't good for.
So when you say like a lot of times you would take a bad beat, and then all of a sudden it would mentally bother you, and then you would be like, "Fuck it, I don't care." Exactly. I look back at many a times where in a PLO tournament you're like top 5 in chips, and the next thing I know, you either didn't cash or you're out, right after a cash. Did that a lot of those times? Did that happen to you a lot of those times in tournaments, and where it didn't happen, and where you fixed it?
For sure, there's so many different stages of poker tournaments, and one of the things that Chris Ferguson, he's whatever he is. Mm-hmm. But I heard him one time in an interview. He was going to a final table with a huge chip lead, mm-hmm. and he ended up winning the tournament. But along the way, he lost the chip lead, mm-hmm. and he told the reporter that he mentally prepared himself for the adversity of not being chip leader. So he was mentally prepared for the different stages, mm-hmm. and there's many different stages of a poker tournament, and it's hard it used to be hard it still is hard to go from having a big dominating chip lead where you're this big bully and you get to play a lot and you get to mix it up and put pressure on people, but then you lose a hand and now you have to, you're stuck doing what you're allowed.
Should I tighten up? Should I keep going faster? And I think, you just said that. It's a great adjustment. It's, it's something that I struggle with a lot of times too, because I'm the type of guy that kind of like, and you know me, you've played a million hours with me. It's like I'm in the middle, and I'm not the type of guy that really gets a lot of chips. But when I do, I struggle in that same situation. I say to myself, well, I got all these chips. I'm like, do I need to play faster? And in the no limits and PLOs I do, where, you know, the limit tournaments, there's really can't, I mean, they say you can, but I'm not the type of guy that's real good at playing fast in the limit, because, you know, somebody's always going to have a hand, you know?
From what I remember, we haven't played much in the last 10 years, but I do remember, and this isn't a bad thing. Yeah. Your poker is very emotional.
Yep.
And that's good. I mean, passion is an amazing thing. Nobody is successful at anything without passion, and you definitely have the passion.
Right.
And sometimes it works with you, and sometimes it works against you.
And that's correct. And it's something I've really learned to control my emotions a lot in the poker tournaments, and even in cash games now. It's like I'll lose a hand, or I'll get stacked like 1 or 2 times in a row. And the thing that and again, I don't want to like suck on Phil Hellmuth's ass or anything, because he's got his own issues, but he's given me so many good quality things when it comes to poker, like money management, game selection, right? If the game
I'm good at no limit hold'em.
Yeah, shut up, Phil.
Money management's easy to have when you have 50 million.
Exactly, right?
So I think money management for me and you is going to be a little different.
Correct.
Than Phil's money. Correct.
But he has helped me where I lose a couple buy-ins and I quit for the night. Let's go back to back. You remember we would play for 2 days straight. You know what I'm saying? And the truth of the matter is the game's going to be there the next day. So it's like, it's not really that important. You know, if you lose 2 buy-ins, you know, your mental acuity is not going to be as strong as when you sit down. So, you know, that's why one thing I learned about 2007, so 15 years ago, was what you want to stay in a game when you're winning. When you're winning, you're crushing the game. And people in poker, they hit and run for small wins, and when they get stuck, they play forever. And that's just the opposite of what you should be doing, you know?
Well, sure. And we are definitely on the same page there.
Yeah.
But what I hear you saying is you're making better decisions. And dude, we've gone broke. You know, I just tell people, you know, I'm no smarter than anybody else, but what I try to do is not go broke the same time twice. Yeah. Every time I go broke, it's a lesson. And eventually you run out of ways to go broke. And when it comes to playing,
me and you have found a lot of ways. I've gone broke 9 times.
Yeah, so. I definitely have gone broke a lot of times along the way.
Yeah.
But when talking about a session of poker and the different stages of it, every hand is uniquely different. Every next hand is uniquely different than the hand before. Yeah. Who won the pot? Where did the chips go? How you feel? How the game's going? And as long as, for me, as long as I'm able to bring my best strategy to the next hand, I'm going to keep playing. And it takes a lot of years to understand yourself, to understand there's different versions of tilt. There's slough all your money off tilt, and there's afraid to get an action tilt. So when it comes to playing long sessions, I like to tell people, as long as you're playing the current hand to the best of your ability and you're able to understand the full situation, then keep playing. But when you get too tired, or if the game changes and the wrong person gets chips, then yes, there will be another game the next day, and there's no reason to sit there and just battle.
Right. No, 100, dude, you couldn't have said it any better. And that's kind of like the adjustment I've made in life, is I've learned where if I'm not playing my best, like you're right, if I'm stuck a couple buy-ins, the game's good and I feel like I'm locked in, I'm not going to quit. But if I feel like it bothered me and most of the times, and knock on wood, you know, but I mean, I believe in run bad, because you can run bad, but I also believe that you create your own luck. In other words, if you're in a positive mindset, and doesn't it seem like when you're in a positive mindset, and you're playing well, good things happen. And when you lose a pot or you get in a negative mindset, everything kind of unravels. And this is kind of where Phil brought in the book Positivity.
Sorry to interrupt. But sorry, my dog is squeaking back down. Luckily for me, like, I swear I have a positive mindset to a fault. Mm-hmm. And geez, quit. Sorry. I have a positive mindset to a fault. Like, I do not believe in bad luck. I do not believe in run bad. I find I am extremely lucky, and I know that. Mm-hmm. There's a million people out there that play poker better than I do. There's a million people out there that do so many things better than I do. I go to the table thinking that I'm the luckiest person here, and no matter what happens, there's nothing that's going to change that.
And that's great, because that's how I am too now. And I never was like that,
Yeah. And I've been that way. I mean, I've been that way for a long time. It's so bad to a fault. Like, I'll get myself in, like, I don't mind laying 110 because I'm lucky, and you only pay juice when you lose. I mean, it's stupid stuff. And I just feel like that when it's time that I need to get lucky, I think that I'm going to get lucky. And sometimes it kicks me in the ass,
and what's really funny that you say this. So, I tell people in the last 3 years at the World Series of Poker, I've cashed 34 of 76 with 9 final tables. Now, that's really an impressive stat, okay? But, and there's a but to it, when it gets down to 2 tables or less, I seem to never win a hand. And again, this is going back to what you just said. You go in there saying, I know I'm going to win. I know I'm the luckiest. Well, I go into these tournaments saying, this is my time, this is my tournament. All of a sudden, things start to go sideways. And when you got 2 tables left, you make one mistake in one hand, even in a limit tournament where you give away 3 extra big bets, you're fucked. You know what I mean? So,
well, even before that, when you start tracking bad luck, you're fucked.
Exactly. So
when you start tracking bad luck and you start thinking in your mind, I'm going to get unlucky or something's going to happen, you've already lost the battle, and you're thinking of the wrong thing.
You're right. And so even going back to last year, I got really unlucky in the 10K PLO by the Tommy Lee, who fucking got his money in with 3 outs against me, wins the tournament, and they all want to say how great he is, And so, as
he is a great.
He's a great player. I'm not.
Like, Mike, that's the difference in, and I'm not knocking you.
Yeah.
That's the difference in me and you is I literally cannot. I can think of one really bad beat that I took, and it was like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't track bad beats. So if I take,
I don't either. I literally can only name 2. And that
told me about that hand that Tommy Lee. But listen to me for a second. If I take a bad beat at a poker table, when I'm walking to the car and walking to the hotel room and getting a bite to eat by myself afterwards, I think to myself, why did that happen? What did I cause to make that person do that action?
Yeah.
And usually I will find that the image that I've set up at the table by the things that I've done leading up to that moment caused that guy to do something stupid and put a bad beat on me, and I'm happy. I caused the guy to do something completely wrong and negative EV or whatever the hell that is, and I did my job.
Right.
But if it just comes down to a cold deck and we both got our money in, that shit happens. And that's the comfort that I am just like lucky to have. And I've always targeted the guy that tracks bad luck. When you sit there and talk about bad luck at the table, I fucking love it.
I agree.
there and I'll tell you, and I'll be like, oh man, that was so unlucky. You are so unlucky. I'll drill it in.
Me too.
And the only thing that you're thinking about is about getting unlucky, and you've lost the battle.
I agree. And the thing is, and again, it's because I had the serious injury. So the 2016 PLO, where a guy hits a miracle when I was like third in chips, I always brought that up because I was struggling financially. When you're struggling financially, you think about, well, if this didn't happen, I would have made this much and I wouldn't be. So the only time I ever think about bad beats was when I was struggling financially. And now I'm doing really good. So I don't ever think about bad beats anymore, you know?
Yeah. I mean, in our world, we need money money is our tool.
Correct.
And I understand that. Yes, all problems are multiplied when we are on short money. And I've just, I've done this since I was a kid, gambling at 17 years old. If I didn't have money, I was fine going and eating $3 value meals.
Yeah.
I was fine not spending any money. And now it's 30 years later and I'm still like, I can live really frugal and be fine with it, and it doesn't bother me.
And you know what?
Yeah.
That's what I've learned how to do. And so people ask me, how have I made the adjustments I've made in life? I said, well, get a serious injury where you're almost paralyzed, have no money, have your parents have to pay your bills every month, give you $100 a month to eat on, and have to eat at Taco Bell or McDonald's every day for a year. Well, when that happens, what's it going to do? It's going to make you a better person. It's going to make you wiser the next time you get money. It's going to make you appreciate life a lot better. So when I look back on the things that happened to me, I look at it as a godsend. If I would have had $100 million in 2008 or even in 2012 when I had Bitcoin for $27 a coin and had $10,000 worth, would I be alive today? You know what I'm saying? Would I be gambling? Would I be doing drugs again and partying with women and because I have all this money? So you have to tell yourself everything happens for a reason. This injury, which I blamed on everybody for 5 years, it happened for a reason. It made me get grounded, made me appreciate money, made me appreciate life, made me appreciate, just like last year at the World Series, when everyone was bitching how bad they're running, you know what I said to them? I said, look at this fucking room. And I pointed at the room. I said, every single person that's in the Rio that fucking ante up today has life better than 90%, 85% of the entire United States. So quit your fucking bitching. And that's the truth.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's something that's never going to change. There's always going to, everybody, and even more so now where it's, back 10 years ago, the fields weren't so pro heavy. Whereas now the fields are 75, 80% pros.
Yeah.
Where people don't have jobs. So everybody is in like some sort of winning player, and it's there's going to always be negativity. There's negativity in all aspects of life, and it's each individual person's job to find the good things, and those are the people that are usually going to prosper at the end.
And the thing also is, as well as I do, there's a lot of poker jealousy. People go on big runs, they start doing good, they want to talk bad about people, but the thing I like to say is, so I've known you since I first became pro in 1997. We met playing Omaha 8, 75, 150. And, I've been around now this is my 26th year. I came up with you, with Daniel, Phil, Ivy, Jawanda, Alan Cunningham. And you ask yourself this: why are we still winning? And we haven't. I have made very little adjustments to my game. Is it because we are naturally talented, which I think so, or is it because we're mature enough to understand the faults we've made in the past that has allowed us to succeed in this 2021, 2022?
I don't know why, because there were a million people that have come and gone.
Million, of course, yeah.
I don't think I play better than anybody else. I feel like I was, if it was just Hold'em, I couldn't have made it. I'm a very average, a little above average Hold'em player. I was fortunate that I started playing PLO at an early time I've been playing PLO since probably 99. And I just had a knack for it, and I understood, I don't know, but the reason that I'm still able to make money playing poker is because of PLO. And, I try to make the best decision that I can make when it comes to the little things that aren't involved in exact hand play. I pick my games. I play when the game's good. If the game is really good, I'll play for 3 days. I mean, I can't do it anymore, but when I was a kid, I'd play. If there was a good spot, I'd never quit. And I never capped my wins. And, I would recognize leaks that people had. I don't know. I do the little things better than all the really smart guys.
That's a good point that you make there, because I was talking to Jared Blesnick, okay, after he finished 5th in the 50K, right? And he made a great point, and I think this is another reason why you've done well is, first of all, you're a much better PLO player than I am, okay? A PLO 8, we're about the same, we're close, but the point that Jared said is, do you think Mike Matusow, Phil Hellmuth, and Daniel Negreanu are good PLO players? No, but they're great tournament players that understand the value of chips, which is why so many of the top PLO players, they blow up at some of these final tables because they're playing like sometimes way too fast. They don't understand the value of the chips. I mean, one thing you've learned over the years is when you get the chips, you just got to pick. You just got to be patient. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to play it so much like a cash game. And so like at that 50K final table, there was like 3 killers at the table, and they went out like 5th, 4th, and 3rd. Or 6th. You remember what I was saying? You finished like 7th, right? In that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that the tournament structure is a unique art. And I mean, I think that Daniel is, I'm probably Daniel's biggest fan and advocate. He plays every game amazing. Yeah. And comes to tournament poker, he really understands everything, all the little things, and he does it right.
Right. I agree.
Phil is a different story. I respect Phil. He's obviously the most decorated World Series of Poker player ever. He does what he does.
Dude, you laugh. Well. You're right. He does what he does. And he does unorthodox things. Okay, but like we talked about earlier, is he does, yes, he does so many things that me and you will look at and we cringe. We're like, did he really just do that? Is he really, but he does so many things so well that other people don't do. And I think the thing that you recognize, and I recognize a lot more than other people, is it's really easy to see the bad in people and not see the good things he does. Now, again, we're very close. I knew that he was never going to win many bracelets playing Hold'em anymore because people are just so good. So we're close. And when things were bad for me, he was there for me. And so he wants to tell everyone and go down as the best player of all time. And I said, well, if you want to go down as the best player of all time, you need to start winning mixed game bracelets and get good at them. And I spent hundreds of hours teaching him. And he has become literally a world-class Omaha 8 or better player. His Raz, he does shit that's crazy, but I mean, he obviously knows what he's doing in that game. I've taught him the stud 8. I've taught him the triple draw where he was god-awful in it before. I've worked on him with the single draw, and now he's 7 final tables in 7 different games, and I'm happy that I did that, and he gives me a lot of credit for it. But Phil, the thing about Phil is he'll listen to me when it comes to mixed games, right? But like when I see things where, I'll give you an idea. I don't want to say anything bad, but I'm in a private game that I've been crushing, right? Let's just say I've won 24 weeks in a row, and Phil's lost 8 out of 10 weeks, right? And I try and say, Phil, I see what you're doing wrong. I don't want to hear it, Mike. I've won 28 million playing No Limit Hold'em. I'm 1,000 times better than you'll ever be in No Limit Hold'em. Don't give me No Limit Hold'em advice. But you've on the other hand, he's seen all the advice I've given him in the mixed games. He used to always say that he feared me more in No Limit Hold'em than any player in the world back in the mid 2000s. So I obviously, if I've helped him with the mixed games, why is he won't let me show him the few things that he needs to fix in a no limit? That's just Phil.
Because I'm good at No Limit Hold'em.
I like when you do that, buddy. So
That's awesome.
It's it's just like a catch-22 with him. He's got an ego, and if he ever fixes ego, and let's put it this way, if he ever put the work in like Daniel did, because I think Phil reads cards way better than Daniel. I mean, he could be a top No Limit Hold'em player again, but it's not going to happen because he believes his way is the right way. And
but who are we to say that? I mean, who are we to say that his way
isn't the right way?
Right way. We cannot say that. The guy's won everything there is to win. And I mean, it was, what is it, a month ago? He came in second in the 50K versus all the fucking shirts. So we can't say, I mean, there's different ways to skin a cat in poker. And Phil has found a knack that he performs amazingly that nobody else can do. So to sit here and say that, I'm a huge fan for people that do things different.
I agree.
I came up in, my dad, I started gambling when I was in high school, and I always knew I wanted to be a gambler, whether it was going to be a poker player or some sort of pool player, or even, there was, just street hustling. So I did it different. Everybody around me was going to college and then was going to get a job. And I had to listen to my dad tell me all the time, when are you going to get a job? When are you going to get a job? Even after I won $2.5 million in 2004, it wasn't, okay, well, you can actually do this. You're going to be successful. It was, okay, let's start a business now. Yeah. So we should have listened,
by the way, when we had all the money in the early 2000s and started some businesses. But
so I have the utmost respect for people that do things differently, and I'll make fun of Phil and I'll poke fun at Phil because he brings it on himself.
He does. There's nobody. And the thing that kind of hurts a little bit of me and him because during COVID, we've become very close. Like I talk to him an hour a day, every day on the phone. And, the thing is now that we're real close, I can't needle him anymore because he goes crazy when I do it. I said, Phil, do you understand that me needling you at the table is good for your brand? You know what I'm saying? And so, we got in a big fight about a week and a half ago because I needled him at the table and he went crazy, and he's like, well, you started it. And I said, buddy, you lost 600 in the pot. I just got stacked for 11,000. There's 3 fish in the table down over 30,000 and you're crying over $600. But that's what he does, So he, in the old days, we'd have gone back and forth and said he took it personal, that I attacked him for it. And he went crazy on me and, whatever. It's the way he is,
He's never going to stop making money playing poker because nobody can figure out what he's doing. Yeah. And he's doing it different. Yeah. And good for him. It's I wish there's nothing there's no bigger compliment than everybody calling you a sucker, but you continue to perform.
Exactly, man.
It's the biggest. As long as people think you're a sucker, you're going to make money.
I mean, when they go on the internet and saying I can't compete and I can't beat high limit poker again, and that idiot fucking from the WPT starts wanting to book me at even money. I mean, I'm just laughing. Like, the guy's never played a hand of poker with me. Who's he to talk shit, you know? And, you know, I watch these people and they bring my name up and they're like, oh, I feel sorry for Mike. He's in a wheelchair. His life's ruined. My life's not ruined. I guarantee you this. I made more money playing poker the last 2 years than 99.999% of the poker people in the world. You know what I'm saying? So I don't need to brag about it, you know, because I owed people a lot of money and I paid a lot of my debts and I pieced myself out. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're struggling to come up and you've gone broke before and you don't want to go broke again, you know, you got to piece yourself out. So, you know, it started off, I was playing these big games, 10%, 15%, 20%. Before you know it, I had all of myself. But it was, you know, I had a nice little big run, but I forgot how good I was at No Limit Hold'em. I was one of the best No Limit Hold'em players in the world, and I forgot how good I was. And now I know
we've been on 10 minutes, and you've told me how great you are about like 30 times.
Have I really? Well, I'm not, and that's, you know what? I'm not like that either. That's the funny part, you know. But what I was basically trying to say is I feel
good.
But I forgot. When I lost confidence, and I started thinking after my injury, can I compete in poker anymore? Am I any good? You know what I'm saying? And then I just started realizing, you know, if you put the time in, if you focus, everything we talked about it, that hey, you know, I forgot how good I was. That's all I'm trying to say.
I deal with that. I deal with thinking I suck like every other session. So
I mean, I gave away 15,000 in 2 pots yesterday, and all I did is say, I suck, I suck, I suck. I quit the game. I sat in bed saying, how could you do this? How could you play 2 hands that bad? You know, but like, again, everything's a learning. What are you going to do? You learn from those mistakes. You realize what you did in that hand, and you better yourself the next day. And that's the difference between Mike Matusow 2022 and Mike Matusow 2008. That's it. You know, I think of every day to better myself and make myself a better person. I think that's really important. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the phone lines. We're going to have people ask some questions to you, and then you can we'll talk about that story you wanted to tell me, and we'll talk about a little bit about the up-and-coming 2022 World Series. So let's light up the phone lines and talk with me and
The
Josh.
Mouthpiece.
If you'd like to take part in our phone call segment, you can give us a call at 702-329-0480. And if you're a snowflake or a pussy and you don't want to talk to me, you can email me at mouthpiecepodcast@gmail.com. Also, follow me at the Mouth Matusow on Twitter for times that our call-in segment will be live. 702-329-0480. Give us a call. Me and Josh Arieh are on the lines waiting to hear from you. 702-329-0480.
We'll be here a while waiting for people to call.
Oh, no. That usually get about 5 or 6 calls right away. But probably today, because there's who knows why. But, you know, like also when we were talking, it really is an adjustment from, like, I don't know how big a gambler you used to be. You know how sick I used to be in sports. Are you still gambling big at sports, or are you just?
No, not at all. I mean, like I said earlier, if there's a good game, like I'll dabble a little during the Masters because I love watching the Masters, and then like I play a little fantasy football, and so that's enough to enjoy watching NFL. But yeah, like if I'm watching a playoff basketball game, I might bet like 500 or 1,000.
Okay, so we're in the same ballpark. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's I'm done going through the headaches of losing a big number in sports.
Yeah, and the thing is, people, like I say, I haven't bet sports in 4.5 years, and they'll be like, "What do you mean, Mike? You just bet 1,000 on the game?" But they don't understand they don't understand how sick we used to be. You know, like you look at the card and it's 5,000 on. I don't know if you were as bad as me, but it was 5,000 on every game, every halftime, and then I was so sick. You know?
But yeah, it's not fun. It's just as I've gotten older, I've just tried to limit the self-inflicted headaches that that stuff causes.
It does. All right. All right. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. You're on the phone with me and Josh Arieh. Who am I speaking with?
This is Rod.
Hey, Rod. How you doing? Where are you from?
I'm from New Jersey, Mike. I wanted to talk to you about something that I guess is a little bit unpleasant, but something that you might have, particular insight into because you're kind of hooked into the, at least the people that used to play high stakes and maybe still do. Mm-hmm. I've been hearing a lot of accusations about cheating in online gambling and actually in live tournaments, probably more specifically the higher stakes online and more recently the high stakes tournaments. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to get your opinion on whether it really is that rampant and what could be done about it, and if it's something that would cause you to not want to play high stakes online or maybe not the high roller.
I mean,
tournaments.
the things that I've heard from the grapevine, I think I touched on this about 4 podcasts ago, was people using the RTA program, which is called real-time assistance. I didn't know what it was, but if you connect it to a tournament, it basically, every time, based on your stack size, it tells you when you're supposed to raise, when to 3-bet. And I heard, again, I'm not going to name any names because it's not my spot, but I heard the same thing about a few top pros that were using it and crushing games at GG Poker in the big online events. I had brought it up to Daniel. He said they were struggling with that problem and that it was fixed now. So that's basically the gist of it. I
mean, the names are out there. You can say the names. The names are out there.
Yeah, but I mean, the names are out there in the poker world. They're not really out there in the
no, they're on Twitter. I was reading about it today.
Oh, you were? Yeah. I mean, I know all the names. You know what I'm saying? I just... I don't know. Maybe it's not my spot to say it, but yeah, there's two of the probably top 10 no limit players in the world that there's pretty credible evidence against, and that's it. I just
I know recently in the live tournament there was a guy named Ollie that was accused of looking at cards. Well,
he was also he was one of the people accused of the online cheating also. So
okay, but I thought about this internally a lot, and I'm gonna Rod, I'm gonna talk about this exact hand that you're talking about. So what Rod is talking about is a hand that went down, and I think it was the 250K entry in Cyprus.
Okay.
They were in. I think there was very few people, maybe one table left. And Ali sees his neighbors hold cards.
Okay.
And his exact hold cards were the ace of diamonds and the 5 of hearts. And Ali gets into a spot where he's in the big blind, I believe. And he calls the big blind. The flop comes 2, 4, 6, all diamonds.
Okay. So the guy's got a gutter ball and a diamond draw, correct?
No. The guy folded the ace diamonds and 5 of hearts.
Okay.
So Ali knows this guy's cards.
Okay.
So now, here is my question. How do you... I know for me...
I'm going to tell somebody I saw his hand, and I'm going to say it to the table. That's me.
Correct. Okay. It's an exposed hand that... an unfair advantage that Ali has.
Okay.
So in this situation, Ali is 1,000% supposed to say, hey, guys, I saw his hand. I think it's the ace of diamonds, the 5 of hearts.
Correct.
The dealer to flip him up and verify it with everybody else.
Correct.
Ali didn't do that. I'm assuming I didn't see the hand live. I just saw the recap of the
I saw a video of it. It's a little bit more complicated than what you said and a little bit more nefarious because he didn't just see it as as a matter of him as the other guy exposing the card because he was extremely sloppy. It was very obvious that he looked. It was obvious that he looked intentionally to see it, and then the next day he showed up with sunglasses on. He wasn't wearing sunglasses the first day. Now that might have been a troll, but there's also now I don't know. I only know from what I hear. I'm not really that involved in the poker world. It's a hobby of mine, but I'm not involved in like the high level poker world. Apparently, he has a reputation of being like an edge seeker, under any means necessary.
That's a fact.
If this was a one-off, that would be one thing, but it's a pattern with him. So, and this isn't even really what I was talking about. It was really the real, because this is something that could be, like spotted out and dealt with, because this was kind of like obvious and insulting. Mm-hmm. It's really like the real-time assistance that I was talking about.
Yeah.
And in tournaments, like chip dumping, soft playing. I mean, like so many ways you could cheat with stables.
I mean, again, I agree with you. I've never been a big fan of high stakes online tournaments because there's only a certain amount of people in them. A lot of the times, some of these people, they're all staying in the same room when they go on vacation. And listen, I know there's a lot of these big time players that ghost other people's account that they can't get in on big online private games. And I mean, right. I know one guy who admitted it to me. I mean, he admitted that he cheats. He's like, oh, well, I can't get into the games. I got to make money somehow. And
didn't Gus Hansen get caught and he admitted that he did it?
Gus? I never heard that. Did you hear that?
I think
it was a game with Bill Perkins. And Bill Perkins made a post on Twitter that this is huge news. And
oh, I remember that. Was it Gus involved or was somebody else? I think it was somebody else.
It was Gus.
Oh, it was? I do remember that. Listen.
You're wrong. It was Jungle Man.
Jungle Man. That's right. I knew it wasn't Gus.
No, I'm sorry. You're right. It was Jungle Man.
I knew it wasn't Gus. Yeah. I remember the hand.
Yeah, it was Jungle Man. You're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But Mike,
the question really is real-time assistance cheating?
Yes.
It's basically like it's like using a basic strategy chart at blackjack, just much more.
It's much more better than that because it tells you when you're in the game as it's running the software as you're playing. So it has everybody's stack sizes in the game. So it's basically telling you when you're supposed to raise, when you're supposed to 3-bet. And so it's for somebody.
I mean, you're inputting assumptions about ranges and stuff like that, but it's obviously a lot of help. The other problem is that there's two different kinds of real-time assistance. There's a kind of real-time assistance that you and I have access to, maybe, but then there's the other kind of real-time assistance that people are spending $50,000, $100,000 to create super machines that I heard about, and it's just like a whole nother level.
You know what? You might be right. My whole life I've never been a proponent for playing more than $1,000 buy-in online. That's just me. I've seen. I've told people the story when I was working for Full Tilt in 2010, and we were in Brazil, and they took us to a pre-tournament party at this mansion right outside of São Paulo. And we get there, and they're showing me around the house. It's this big mansion. It's right on the water. It's gorgeous, right? And when I go upstairs, there's a room probably the size of the Bellagio poker room, maybe bigger. No, it was bigger. And it had rows of computers up and down, up and down. And I said, well, what's this for? He goes, oh, we teach people how to play online poker tournaments here. And the first thing I said to myself is, they ain't teaching anybody. These people are all playing and probably chip dumping to each other. That was the first time I really saw anything that resolved major cheating. You see what I'm saying? And so there was about, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't want to, sometimes I over exaggerate, but I'm going to say there was 100 computers and monitors in this room. And if you get 100 competent people, right, that are buying in like the PokerStars Super Million or whatever the Full Tilt big tournament is, and you're able to get a stack and you're able to, dump off to, you know what I'm saying? You're talking about a minuscule amount of money for a big return. Now, I'm not saying that was happening.
How about just knowing dead cards on the table that you're playing on?
Well, that's what I've always said, like when it comes to PLO, and Josh could touch on this a little bit.
Forget about it.
Is like if me and Josh are sitting next to each other, and we're both sitting in the same game in a 6-max PLO, and we could see 8 cards. No matter, we don't have to do we can't lose. We could play A, B, C straightforward, and we can't lose. And so I can't say I've felt it. I've never really felt in a PLO game where I felt like I was getting cheated, but I always tell people about the full tilt days when Guy Liberté was playing, and you had 5 people who were equity chopping every hand. And I thought that was cheating. Barry Greenstein thought it was cheating, where a lot of the people felt it wasn't. But the truth of the matter is, when Guy would go all in with the nuts or, top set or whatever, and then 3 other people would call him with gutter balls or flush draws or straight draws, if they're not equity chopping, are they making that call for the big bet? What's your opinion on that, Josh?
It's definitely cheating.
Yeah, I think so too.
Just fucking play poker. And if you're not good enough, all that shit, like, it's not my style. I think that I'm gonna succeed in whatever situation I decide to put myself in, and all those extra factors. I'm just a fan of a level playing field.
Me too. Now
like
going back to the level playing field, which is what I've been stressing for years, and I get, of course, a lot of pushback from Daniel and Phil, and we could talk about this after. Matter of fact, hey, I appreciate the call. We're gonna take another call, and thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
Good talking to you.
Nice talking to you.
Yep.
And about talking about, and we'll get another call here in a second. We'll talk about the level playing field. I believe that the max late reg is so bad for poker. I think it's, when 2/3 of the field are out and you're able to buy in a PLO tournament with 30 or 40 big blinds and 300 people are out. Tournament poker is stay alive long enough to give yourself a chance to get lucky, not being able to buy in with 2/3 of the field are out. And if you look at all the people that have finished in the top 5 best all around the last 5 years, like 90% they max late reg every event. And what's your opinion on that?
We've hammered this.
I thought we had talked about this. I wasn't sure.
I completely disagree with you. It's a level playing field. Everybody has the option to do it.
But what about the recreational players? The guy that tells me that buys in the 2,509 game, 65-year-old man last year, and says, I'm not playing anymore. Fuck this. I get here on time and they move me 10 times. I'm not that good a poker player. I need to figure out how everybody plays. But everybody that late regs, I have to keep moving off tables and they get rewarded for late regging. What do you say to a guy like that?
Late reg?
Yeah, it's tough to tell an amateur player to do that,
Well,
yeah.
If you feel like it's unfair and you're allowed to do what's unfair, I never max late reg.
You won the PLO 8. You jumped right in on day 2, right? This year?
You're clueless. You're clueless. I got knocked out of something, and I registered in like level 2.
Oh, what? Wasn't there one you registered day 2 and won this year or no?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The 50K, the 50Ks, I reg at the end of day 1 every time. Yeah. I play one level at the end of day 1, hoping to find somebody tired.
Yeah.
And that's only because I understand that I have no edge to sit there and battle with people.
Okay, that's the way I feel too. So that's what I was saying.
But no, and I feel like I have an edge. If it's a game that I feel like I have an edge in, I want to sit down 3 hours before and play more levels.
Yeah.
I totally disagree with your argument.
Mm-hmm.
And for anybody that thinks that they have an advantage late regging, just fucking max late reg.
Yeah.
That's your answer.
And I'm gonna do that this year, especially in the limit events, because the thing is like, and I was talking to John Monet about this, and he feels like in the limit events, it's correct to come in for the last two levels, where it's 6,000 and you get like 8 big bets, because people don't. I mean, you understand this, but 8 big bets in limit is basically 2 hands to the river, and by the time late at night, you know, all hands are head up 3-way action, where if you start on time, yeah, you could build a big stack, but it's also, you know, you get 3, 4, 5-way actions, and you're going to take a lot more beats too. So, you know, it's 2 ways to look at it.
Step off screen. I'm going to turn this light on.
Yeah, okay, no problem. So 702-329-0480. Give us a call.
There's an easy solution to just late reg. That's all. I mean, it's...
Yeah. Well, I have no problem with it. I'm just worried about I'm more worried about the recreational player. You know, like, I'm worried that they're going to turn the World Series of Poker into unlimited re-entries, and all the people who have money are just going to drown out all the recreational players. And that's what worries me. Does that worry you at all?
Event, no. The main event and all the events that are 1,500, all the events up to 1,500, and the main event, there's never going to be an issue. The fields this year are going to be the biggest ever, probably.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the people that put up 10K to play stud or to play horse or whatever, they're not dummies, and they play poker. Like, they're not just, I'll just make a decision. Yeah, let's go down the list, and I'll try this.
Right.
That's not the way that it is. I don't think I'm completely on the other end of the spectrum.
A lot of people are on the other end of the spectrum. Like during my documentary filming, I interviewed, 30 different people on the subject, and about 25 of the 30 agreed with me. But that doesn't mean it's right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's an argument that, and the thing that I really was pushing for that really bothered me, I think the most, is the main event. They have 6 starting days. I think everybody should show up at noon. You have 6 starting flights, and the whole playing field is even. You know, letting people be able to buy in on day 2 of the main with 100 big blinds. It just seems, when so many of the amateurs are again, you said the same thing. Well, they could buy in on day 2, but they don't look at it like that. They don't run charts. They don't know if it's an edge for them or not. Chris Ferguson told me you should max late reg every tournament except the main, and he finished top 3 best all around 3 years in a row. So gotta be something to it.
And late regging the main event is literally,
I agree, stupid.
It's stupid on so many levels. One, the main event is fun. Like,
it's so much fun.
If there's an event that is actually, like, other than when you're sitting, like when you're playing the 50K and it's all people that you know and everybody is, you know, playing with a big stack of chips and enjoying themselves. But the main event is so unique. You sit down with 9 people that you don't know, and everybody's so happy to be there. Right. It's number one, it's a lot of fun. And number 2, you're never, ever, ever going to play an event where your ROI is higher than it is. So why on earth would you ever miss levels? So
the thing is they said that on the 2-day on the day 2s were after they were able to buy in on day 2, there was only 160 total people that bought in on day 2. So what I was basically saying is, if only 160 people out of 9,000, why not just get rid of the rule? Because it's not like they're getting thousands of people to sign up on day 2.
Well, I think that I would think that you are making it convenient for people that have jobs that can't come out to Vegas, play a day, sit around for 4 days, and then wait to play the next day. You know, it's people do work, and they're just trying to make it convenient for them. And I just, well, anything to get more people in poker fields is good for me. I want the most people gambling that can possibly be there. I don't think anybody should be turned down.
So
and
what?
Reg makes the fields bigger, and it gives you it gives you and me a chance to play more tournaments. We can play a tournament during the day, and we can dust off, and then you got your guy that tilt buys into the 3 p.m. at 11 p.m.
Yeah.
So there's. I think that late reg is nothing but good.
What do you think of, let's just say, again, this is something that I don't play the tournament because of it, the 5 diamond in December, like 10K buy-in, unlimited re-entries, all the people being staked have unlimited money. They're just sitting there, just any flush draw, any pair, just trying to run up a stack. And do you think that is a level playing field to, let's just say, I don't know, a few hundred wrecks that have one bullet?
Okay, well, that's the one reason why I don't play that tournament.
Okay,
because
so we are on the same playing field there. Okay.
But I'm not disgruntled about it. I am totally aware of the playing field. I'm totally aware that people that are ready to spend 30, 40, 50,000, that tournament is a 30K event. Yeah. So
I agree.
I'm not going to go out there and put myself through the headache of playing. It's not a 10K buy-in. So, and I'm not mad about it. Do what you got to do. Everybody wants to have these glorified numbers and make it look a certain way, and do it. That's fine. That tournament's just not for me. If it was a 2K with unlimited entry fee, yeah, I'd be out there because I can afford to play a tournament in my mind that it's a 4-bullet.
Do you,
event.
If I was to ask you, okay, which way you would rather have it? Would you rather have it like we used to have it, where everything was a freeze out, and the only ones that were like rebuys were like the deuce to 7 no limit, which I think we should go back to the 2 hours of unlimited re-entries and make it a 5K. That was the only difference. Is now, instead of like you get Daniel or Tom Dwan at the same table punting off 5-ball, 100 balls each, and this way somebody gets a big stack. Instead of this time you go broke, you got to go back to the thing, re-enter, and then you get back in for another 5. I think they should go back to unlimited re-entries on the no limit deuce. But I'm against. I just think all 10Ks and above should be freeze outs. That's my opinion. What's your opinion on that?
I think the 10Ks at the World Series are freeze outs.
Yeah, they are.
Except for like, I think that like the 25, I think the Hold'ems, I think there's one re-entry.
Yeah, the 100K, the 50K, they have one re-entry each. Yeah.
I think of it for myself and what's best for me. And I think that for my liking, I think one re-entry in all the Hold'ems is good. I think PLO is a different game. I think PLO should have 2 re-entries.
Yeah. Well, I'm on the side of you. If you remember Devilfish is the one that came up with the idea when you bought in for 10K, they give you 5K in chips and a lammer. So if you went broke with the 5K, it was like having 2 bullets on one. And I kind of liked that at the time. But that was, what do you think of that?
I think it limits the prize pool. I just think that you just get 1 bullet for your buy-in and you're allowed to buy in again. But yeah, I mean, for the World Series, I mean, we don't need to it's our opinion's not really going to matter, but right. I think that 1 re-entry is fair for the rec players and 2 re-entries in Omaha just because there's such higher variance.
In the 10K PLO, there's no re-entry, right? In the 25K, there's 1. Is that correct, or am I wrong?
I think so. I think so. I don't think that I think all the 10K, the championship events are freeze outs.
Yeah, I think you're right. And listen, we were talking earlier about the sports, how you like watching the playoffs, everything is high level. Well, that I wanted to relate that to when we play the 10Ks. Like everybody knows each other. Most of us know how everybody plays, and everybody's playing at the highest level. And that's why people ask me, like, why don't I play so much Hold'em at the World Series? I'm like, because, first of all, I think I'm one of the best mixed games players in the world. Number two, I love the camaraderie of being around, seeing it's kind of like they weren't around. You were around when the horseshoe days, when it was like a family affair. You showed up at the World Series. There was 250 of us. We all knew each other. It was like great to see everybody. I mean, you feel the same way now, don't you, about the 10Ks?
And it's great. I mean, the 10Ks being freeze outs is great. It's, rebuys just do so much for the prize pools, and I'm just a fan for keeping the playing field as close to fair as possible, but also at the same time trying to bring as much money into the prize pools. Yeah, and I think that they've done a good job. And on top of, they have a million things to worry about, and
they do a great job. I mean, people like cry like, they're robbing people. Look at all the money. You know what? I was talking to Jack and them. It's like people think we're making all this money. They don't know how much the cost of water, cost of this. People like say, well, they take 81 million out of the prize pool or 100 million during the World Series. Jack told me they make between 10 and 15, and I believe him. That's
what it is. What it is. We've paid rake our whole life. I mean, It started at the pool hall, and when you played somebody pool and you gambled, and if you beat somebody, you always had to pay the table time. And so you go up and you spend $100 and you pay $15-$20 for table time, and it's just like rake. So
do you remember when Becky took over the horseshoe, right? And they upped the rake from like 2% to like 3 or 4%, and everybody went crazy. Can you imagine? I mean, now it's 10% on everything.
I mean, I've always just tried my best to think of different ways that I can be a better version of me when it comes to competing. Yeah. And so I've just, if it gets to a point where you think it's impossible to succeed, then you need to find something else to do.
Agree.
But I've just always I just have to be better. If the rate goes up, I have to be better. Yeah. If I can't be better, then I'm done, and I'll go do something else. I tell people all the time, I don't know your feeling on this, is and we're gonna touch on your company, PocketFives, here in a minute. So when I go and play these tournaments, a lot of people are like, Mike's broke, he's selling half. I sell half of myself for two reasons. A, I like when you're buying it for 10K, and you're playing 15 of them at the World Series, it's easy to go 0 for 15. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times I don't feel like losing 150K. So I sell half of myself, and people say, well, why do you charge so much markup? Well, the thing is I've been around a long time, and it's in the poker world, let's just say, if the poker players were buying a half of you, maybe it's a lot for markup. But the people that are buying are putting up, like, there are 100 people putting up $20 a piece, so it's costing them $25 for a $20 piece, and then they could tell all their friends, I got 1% of Mike Matusow, I got 1% of Josh Arieh. So it's not about mark. First of all, we live in a capitalist society. If you can get what you can get, you should. But I'm not marking up events to rob people. I'm marking up events to give my fans the chance to have a piece of me, and I've earned that right. Let me interrupt you there.
Yeah.
So I run PocketFives, yes, and we create a staking platform.
And I want you to explain to everybody what PocketFives is, because it's new so
PocketFives has been it's been an online forum for a very long time, and
just recently.
And just recently, we added a staking marketplace to where you can buy pieces of certain players that post. And
all right, hold on one second. We got another call coming in, Josh. Hold on one second. Hold that thought. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike and Josh. How you doing today?
Hey, how you doing, Mike?
Good, man. Who's this?
That's all.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, man. I just wanted to know if y'all, what are y'all's opinions on the location change of the World Series, and if what do you see the pros and cons looking like, and y'all know any rumors about what the change is going to be?
Okay. Well, unfortunately, I don't know if Josh knows anything. I know zero. Okay. I know that I have a scooter that I drive to the front of the Rio. I drop it off at the valet. I walk in. They see me pull up. I give them a couple thousand at the beginning of the World Series. They drive my scooter out, and I don't worry about nothing. Now, going into being at Bally's, I have no idea what I'm going to do right now. I have no idea what to expect. What's your thoughts on this, Josh?
I think that we are going to really miss the Rio. I think parking is going to be an incredible nightmare.
Me too.
I think that getting to and from, even when you do finally get to park, getting to and from the table is going to be a nightmare. Leaving at night is going to, just think about.
How about the weekend on the Strip, leaving at night when you get knocked out?
Oh, God, yeah.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Like, let's say you play the noon tournament that ends around midnight on the big weekend events that already have, thousands of people playing. Now you have to fight these 1,000 people for, to get in and out of traffic. It's going to be a headache, and we are really going to miss being off the Strip. There's going to be a lot of adjusting. I've always stayed at the Arieh, and I would just take that back road, and I would literally go from the table to my hotel room in like 10 minutes. Yeah. And now driving isn't even going to be an option. I'm going to have a 20-minute walk each way, which is fine. I need to.
It's good clearing your head. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
But it's in my mind, it's a huge downgrade. Unfortunately,
I agree. One other question I'll ask you, Josh, is, and I think this is good for poker, is them branding Bally's as the horseshoe. I know they're doing that to bring back kind of like the old nostalgia of the horseshoe, where the world. I'm sure they're rebranding it for the World Series' sake. What's your thought on that?
For us old timers, I'll say this: last year during the World Series, Rachel, we went on a date one night and we ended up at the old graveyard of the old casino.
Place is great. I've been there. It's awesome, dude.
I literally it's just so nostalgic, and I got a
lot of memories,
a bunch of pictures. Yeah, I just remember the valet, and there's so much about the horseshoe and the Keno room that just brings back really
the Keno
cool
room where we used to play all the satellites.
And it's going to be cool. I hope they do it right. And I assume they will. I think it's really cool that we'll pull in every day and see the horseshoe. It definitely brings back good memories.
Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate the call. Thanks for calling in. And
I was going to ask you, Mike and Josh, if you all had your schedules.
I haven't even looked at the schedule yet. Have you?
Yeah, I've looked at it a few times. It just depends. I do the same, and it's the same thing I've done every year for 25 years. I'll play a bunch early. If I'm running good and enjoying my time at the table, I'll keep playing. If I'm not enjoying my time at the table, I will play golf, hang out, go have good dinners, do my, I have PocketFives, responsibility every single day. So that takes a lot of time. But I'm not one thing I've never done is beat myself up playing poker when I didn't want to play, because it just does. It's literally the biggest waste of time and money and headache. And so if I'm having fun and getting the immediate results that I want, then yeah, I'll play a bunch and go for player of the year. And if not, then fuck it. I'm just going to have fun. I mean, Vegas is my favorite town, and there's so much to do rather than sit at a poker table and be unhappy.
I agree with you. All right, man. Well, thanks for the call, and we appreciate it, and have a great weekend.
I appreciate it, Mike.
All right, my man.
Thanks for taking a call from the common man, man.
You got it, my man. Thank you.
You have a good one.
You know, Josh, you made a good point there. Is one thing I notice about the Rio, when you get in the Rio, right? I mean, I've seen Robert Mizrachi do it. I've seen other players do it, Alan Kessler, whatever. A week, 10 days into the World Series, they're crying how bad they're running, right? And we just talked about it earlier. When you start talking about how bad you're running, you're just dead. So, like, even this last World Series, when I started the series 0 for 7, but I felt I was playing really good. And so I wasn't, like, really worried about it. And I came back, I ended up cashing 11 of 23, so I cashed 11 of the next 16 with 3 final tables. But there was, like, even when I finished 7th in the 3K PLO, right? That tournament, I just got knocked out the night before, like 13th in the limit hold'em, right? And I had kings beat by 2 people with ace king, but that's beside the point. And as I was leaving, I said, I can't do it no more. I can't do it no more. I can't keep fucking anteing up. It's so brutal. You know how tough it is when you get knocked out. But you know what? I woke up the next day and said, fuck it, let's late reds the PLO. And I went there and got 7th. And the thing I think that's most important for the younger players is you can't get down on yourself at the World Series. If you get down on yourself, you're screwed. You have to want to be there. If you find, like you just said a minute ago, if you find yourself, you're not running good, I don't feel like playing poker, you got no shot. You got to want to be there. And that's how you win.
You're never not going to beat yourself up. I mean, we're in an industry where you lose and you go home with nothing 7 out of 10 times, playing tournament poker. And like even more, like, I mean, it's,
and only one person's going to be happy at the end too. So.
Yeah. And so you have to make sure to be able to, however your particular way is, you have to be able to refresh and come back your best self the next day.
Yeah.
And just for me, and just that's the decisions that I think that I've done good at through the years is I'm able to understand when I'm not my best self, because I know that my best self can't beat any poker game.
I agree.
And if I'm not able to bring my all to the table, then I'm not going to play.
Yeah.
And I think that, so the lesson for the people that are the first timers or going back to Vegas and they haven't been able to do good during the World Series, it is a long grind. Oof. And if you don't find ways to go to sleep at night without thinking about poker and waking up the next day ready to crush souls, then it's not for you. You have to reboot and refresh and that it's really important to have good people around you and find ways to stop thinking about poker. And that's what works for me. There's going to be people that leave the table and go home and study and say that they figured it out and they're going to come back the next morning refreshed. So. Yeah. But whatever way it is,
whatever works for you,
yeah.
No, and listen, like I said, we filmed my documentary last year at the World Series, which will be coming out this year, and it really brings into light how hard a grind it really is. Like, they literally filmed every aspect of my life, from going to sleep at night, from when I get home, from what I eat, from the mental of breaks, how you doing, how's the tournament going, and you get to see, especially me being an emotional person, the emotions and how it really is a super hard grind. It's like I tell people like Ari Engel, I tell him every time I see him, God bless you. How do you do it? How do you just go to, even Chainsaw, how do you just go from place to place to place, tournament to tournament to tournament? If I was a tournament player, like me and you, yeah, we're good at tournaments, but we're cash game players. You know what I'm saying? I have a lot of respect for those people that go from tournament to tournament, don't you?
It is, for sure. I mean, it is a grind, and you just have to keep coming back. And hats off to them. If I'll tip the cap to those guys that
me too.
That are able to actually bring their best after just getting their head kicked in over and over and over.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to PocketFives for my viewers. Explain to everybody what's going on with that.
PocketFives, it was an old, or it's not old, but it's been a long-standing.
Yeah, I thought it was just a forum. I didn't even know nothing about this until recently.
It's been really big in online rankings, tracking stats and tournaments for online players and forums. And recently we created a staking marketplace. And I've basically been in charge of everything that goes on there. And it's, we were talking about markup, and I'm an advocate for letting the market figure out what people are worth. If you're charging too high, eventually you will be priced out. Yeah. And we're at like the infancy of online public selling. It is going to grow. It's going to be, as people, it's great for people to engage with their fans.
Yeah.
Like people buying small pieces, and not even, it's not even great. It's great for people that have big investors, because it allows them to have all their financing in one space. Yeah. I know that, selling pieces through the years, it's always a pain in the ass, because people want to send PayPal. One guy wants to send crypto. One guy's going to give you cash here. And, PocketFives allows the pro to have all their financing in one spot. It lets you engage with your fans. And, from the consumer standpoint, there's nothing more fun. I'm trying my best to make the sweat even better. I mean, the reason that the NFL is so popular is because it's so easy to bet $20 on a game and watch it. It's so exciting. You get to see every play.
Right.
But unfortunately for poker, we don't get that unless it's like a streamed final table.
Correct.
So my biggest, hurdle to make public staking big
excuse me for a minute, is there a way, let's just say I sell half of myself and all the 10Ks, the 25Ks, is there a way for the software to, at every break, kind of like punch in to the PocketFives software, kind of like how your first hour's gone, how what you're sitting in chips, and this way people have more of a sweat?
Well, what we're tinkering with now is just having players post on their social media, and then we'll drag it to like a scoreboard that will just be for people that have posted. Right. So that's great, but as well as I do that the players aren't always going to post an update.
Right.
So it's it's a work in progress, but it's a great concept because poker sweating is exciting. Like when I run deep,
I always had losers that I sweated, but yeah, it is exciting.
But when you finally have somebody at a table, like at a final table, I mean, I refresh over and over and over to where it's like unhealthy. Wow. And so we as an industry, we need to make it to where the sweat is more fun. And once I'm able to get over that hurdle, I think that public staking will blow up. It's great for players' engagement. It's great for the fans. It's really great for everybody. And at PocketFives, we don't charge the customer transaction fees. We don't charge the player. We don't take any of their markup. And
again, in Stake Kings and U Stake, they do take fees. Am I correct?
I'm not familiar with what they do. I just know that, we operate at a loss because we are trying to get more people engaged. And the way to do that is to get people excited and don't feel like when they deposit money, it's just going down a drain. And so, luckily the force behind PocketFives is a huge advocate for growing poker. And when it's all said and done, I believe that PocketFives will be a big hub for much more than content and forums and staking. We've got some big things.
Are you are you the owner of PocketFives, or are you the owner of the staking business, or are you the head? Tell me what you're. I'm just
PocketFives. I was lucky enough to. I got approached back in June of last year. A guy that's been in the industry for a long time, and he told me their idea, and I was all in from day one, just because it's right up my alley. I've gambled every day for 25 years, and I've staked players, and I've gotten staked, and so it was a project that I could see if it's a project that I would put my own money in, because I see such a great tool, and people getting, number one, customers getting great excitement from it, and number two, we're trying to put more seats, more butts in seats at poker tournaments. Yeah. And it's a win-win. Eventually, we had an event down at the Prime Social last month, and
in Houston with Justin Hammers. Okay.
And we had everything integrated directly with the cage, so players were actually able to deduct the amount that they sold from the amount that they pay at the cage.
Okay, that's good.
That was pretty cool. And Justin's got some great, the way that Justin's running the tournaments down there, where they're updating the counts every hour, is amazing. And hopefully, poker, the World Series will get to that point where there's updates every hour, and that helps. The more we engage with the people that are sweating it, the better the experience.
Let's just go back to 2005, 6, 7, and 8, when Card Player had all the people. They had 50 different people running around getting updates. Yeah. And unfortunately, the Rio, the people who run the World Series, kind of ran them out, and they gave it to Poker News, and. Yeah. Poker News, if you remember, they don't give two oops of a fuck, and because of the fact that,
remember this year, the first tournament that I bagged in, Poker News put my name down as Josh Allen.
I remember that.
And, yeah, and I'm not famous.
Hey, I wish I was Josh Allen, don't you?
Obviously, yeah. But I mean, I'm not famous, but usually I would think that a poker reporter at the World Series would have known who I was. Yeah. So we got some good jokes out of it, but yeah, it's back 10 years ago, there was multiple.
It was unbelievable.
And we can get back to that. And if we're able to get back to it, then it's going to make it much more exciting for PocketFives players.
I mean, they really need. We got another call, Josh. Let's get it. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. You're on with Mike and Josh Arieh. How's it going? Lower the volume, please. Turn your volume down, please. All right, or hang up. One of the two. I'm sure they'll call back. But I mean. One thing I'm really glad about, and I retweeted it, is the World Series has finally realized that if they want top dealers and they don't want to be short dealers, you got to pay them. People are making $500 a day in Texas, $350, $400 a day in fucking Florida. They're not going to get up like they used to, go spend 2 months at the World Series of Poker, have to rent a place, and make less money. So but for them going out of now where I think they're giving 25 a down, which is like 50 an hour. Now you're going to get good. We're going to go back to getting good dealers because now they can make. They're going to make four or 500 a day. And
last year was tough.
What's that? Yeah, last year was tough, man.
Last year was just tough all around, and people were trying their best.
I kept telling everybody, be easier on the dealers. You know, the thing that bothered me the most is they had some of these dealers that never dealt come through the 10Ks the first week, and we'll get back to this in a second. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike and Josh Arieh. Who is this?
Hey,
Hello?
it's John.
Hey, John. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Pretty good. So you guys both around a while. I have a question about markup. What are your thoughts about paying a large markup for someone like a Phil Hellmuth or an Alan Kessler if they're charged at 1.5, 1.6? Do you think that's fair, or do you think it should depend on how good of a player they are, or if they're famous, it's okay to ask for more markup and actually pay the markup? What are your feelings on that?
Well, I'm going to give you my feeling. I think Josh is in the same boat. Is most people that go to PocketFives or other staking areas are fans of famous players. Okay, so let's just say somebody who's a much better no limit player, a top notch no limit player, but nobody knows who he is, and he's trying to sell half on the 100K for 1.3 or 1. He's not going to get it because people aren't. Most people that buy pieces of people is because they want to win, but they want to sweat their best play, the people that they know of. So they want to tell their friends, you know, hey, I got 1% of Mike Madison, I got 1% of Phil Hellmuth. I don't think the markup means anything. You could. What's your opinion on this, Josh?
Well, first off, I've already said it, is eventually the market will weed out people that charge too much.
Yeah.
There are going to be exceptions. And when I look at the site and I see a good no limit player that nobody's heard of selling at 1.05,
right,
and then below it I see Phil Hellmuth selling at 1.5.
Right.
I think that the person buying understands what he's doing. He understands that at that point you're not buying for value, you're buying for entertainment.
100% correct.
You buy somebody else for value, but you know there's different reasons that we gamble online. You know, we gamble online for the entertainment of it, or we gamble online to help a friend, or we gamble to for an investment. So when, you know, nobody's worth 1.5 usually. There's a few events.
The main event, I think anybody who's competent is worth 1.5.
Yeah. But like in your average, you know, whatever, there's different, there are exceptions. But usually when, you know, Phil Hellmuth sells at 1.5 for a 50K, you're buying for the entertainment value. You're investing in your favorite player, and you're freaking an owner of a team.
Yeah.
You know, if you had the chance to invest in the Green Bay Packers, like I remember a long time ago that they sold stock in the Green Bay Packers. They
still do. Fans own the team still.
Yeah. And what do they get out of it? Nothing. It's entertainment.
Right.
You know, and so you have to look at what your intentions are. Are you trying to make money? If you're trying to make money, then you don't pay 1.5 for Phil Hellmuth or for anybody else.
My ROI is the best ROI in history. I'll say that.
Phil, I'm sorry to use Phil as an example, but
no, it's fine.
It's the perfect because Phil has a huge following. A lot of people love him. He's a great player, and he charges high markup because he knows what he can get. With that said, do you want to be entertained? Then that's why you would invest in Phil. And do you buy a piece of Kevin Robichaux because, or Brock Parker because he's a good player at a good value. And when it's all said and done, you get the same amount of sweat.
Right.
But the fact that you call your buddies and say, hey, guys, I got $100 on in Phil Hellmuth's entry fee, which is pretty freaking cool. It's
a big difference, because somebody would say, well, why don't you just buy a piece of them on Mike McDonald's site? And I'm like, well, on Mike McDonald's site, you're just buying shares, where when you're on PocketFives or any of the other stake places, you're actually buying an actual part of their buy-in. And I think that really makes a difference. You agree?
Yeah. And then it's really cool. Like, Eric Seidel I've always been a huge Eric Seidel fan. Mm-hmm. And I reached out to him about this. He had open arms. It was so awesome. And he would text how much to.
Yeah. Hold on, let's get this call. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. You're on with Mike and Josh. Who's this?
Mike, this is Matt again from St. Louis.
Hey, buddy. How you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Great. How are you?
Good.
First question, just wanted to know if you're still selling pieces, and if so, how I go about buying them.
Okay, so I'll be selling half myself in all the 10Ks and above, and I will be selling them on Josh's site on PocketFives. I have, in all the other years, done it on YouStake because Phil had a very small piece of it, and so he asked me to. But, Josh is very big invested in this place, and so I told him that I will be selling them there. So what you need to do is talk Josh. What if he wants to buy a piece of me or any big players at the main event at the World Series this year? How does he go about putting money on your site?
You just go to PocketFives.com and create an account and click on the staking. And as the World Series gets closer, I will start to put the World Series packages up there. Right now, next week, there's a big head-up event on Poker Go. I'll have some pieces of some all notable players on there. And that event's a lot of fun because you actually can sweat it on your Poker Go subscription. Yeah. But as far as the World Series go, it's really, really simple. It's, create an account, click the staking, and find the guy that you want, and you're in action. It's very easy once you get used to it.
All right, that sounds good.
Awesome. You guys brought up a good point a few minutes ago about them having to pay, the dealers more to, move the tournaments along and all that. We recently had a circuit event here in St. Louis, and trying to play the tournaments was just horrendous. I mean, you had to stand in line for like 45 minutes just to sign up, and then it was another 3 or 4 hours before you finally got your seat, and that's if you arrived early.
Wow.
And then you get your seat, and you only got like 10 big blinds, and it was a train wreck.
Well, so, you could also sign up the day before, and then you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. Well, in their defense,
yeah, I mean,
they obviously don't want it to be that way. And a lot of times, staff is overwhelmed, and, dealers are hard to come by. A good dealer is worth their weight in gold, man. It's, poker is live poker.
Most of the dealers I had when I was there, they were trash. I mean, one of them, I was playing at one table, and one of them exposed somebody's card, and then one of the players said, hey, I saw the card, I think it was a jack, but it was definitely a face card, and the dealer takes a peek at it, and he goes, no, you're wrong. And then at the end of the hand, they just played out the hand like nothing happened, and then the dude said, yeah, it was a face card, and the dealer's like, no, but it wasn't a jack, so we just
unfortunately, in all aspects to life, we're going to come across situations where the staff is untrained to, and it takes away from the experience. Luckily, most of my live poker is done at the World Series of Poker, and at the beginning of the month, it's usually a little rough. They weed out some people at the beginning, and we just have to be patient. And I, I just try to look at it. If the dealers tilt me, I've lost the battle. Like something as small as, gameplay being not that great. You've lost the battle when you can't, get past that. And I try to help and be, I don't know if passionate is the right word, but understanding of, the bad dealers. They're nervous as shit. They're doing something that they're not good at. And when they get 9 angry people yelling at them, I mean, I'd throw the fucking deck up in the air and leave. I mean, it's you just have to have patience, and that's my best advice, because you're gonna do better in the long run when everybody else is irritated, but you've kept yourself from getting irritated about this inconvenience. It's just gonna raise your EV when it's all said and done.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's a lot easier said than done. I mean but yeah, that is the most optimal way to look at that.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thanks for the call.
I just worry about like the long waits, deterring people from coming back and playing.
Well, at the World Series, they've one of the best things they've ever done, and there's a lot of things I can knock them for doing, but putting these kiosks in where you just put money in your account and being able to pull up and just put your card through the kiosk and get a buy-in is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
See what they should do with all the people that aren't doing the actual transactions that are lost to the machines. They should get them, try to entice them to become dealers. That would
sound like the real likes to complain about shit.
Yeah. Yeah, It is what it is, man. All right, man. I appreciate the call. Thanks for tuning in for the Mouthpiece, and call us back anytime.
He's just looking for something to bitch about.
Yeah, the truth of the matter is you're right. You can't. This is the Alan Kessler situation. I tell him all the time, Alan, listen, I like you. I think you're a good guy. Stop bitching and complaining. Go in there, think positive. If something bad happens, say, oh, well, let's get to the next event. Instead, he just manifests negative thoughts. And I do believe that he's not a bad player. And I think that he's actually a winning player, but his negativity really hurts it, Let's get another
Whenever
call.
His answer is always, yeah, but.
Yeah, but is right. Welcome to the Mouthpiece. This is Mike and Josh. What's going on? Hello?
You're a bad poker player. Kill yourself.
I'm a bad poker player. Kill myself. Yeah, that's so wonderful. There's a lot of this social media, Josh. A lot of negative people. Negative. That's social media is like the devil, man.
I don't want to deal with any bullshit on social media.
When'd you get that one, Danny? That's funny. Oh my God, it's funny. But yeah. So we go back. You have the head up tournament at the Poker Go you're talking about. I had an invite to it. They called me today and asked me if I was in or out. They needed to know today. I told them I was out for 2 reasons. One reason, I lost $15,000 last night, and I'm not happy about it. Number 2, $25,000 is a lot of money. I could probably sell half of myself on the PocketFives. But I also... one of the things is it's the main reason why I dropped out, and I have a big lawsuit that I've been dealing with the guy that stole my company from me, and the deposition is on the day of the 24th and 25th. So it's a day of the tournament. So that's the main reason why I'm going to miss it, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a really cool event. I remember. Outside, I'm looking many years back. Outside of the main event, the
NBC head up was the best.
Yeah, the NBC head up was awesome.
It was just so much fun.
Yeah, it was really cool. Maury did an amazing job with the people that he invited, and I played in it twice, and I had an amazing time. One of my best poker memories is playing Ted Forrest and halfway through our match, he asked somebody from the rail for different sunglasses because he thought that I was really putting it to him. And he thought that I was seeing the reflection of his cards in his glasses. And
that's typical Ted. Typical Ted.
That's really fucking cool to have. And at the time, I mean, this is like 2005, 2006. Ted was the top of the food chain.
Yeah, people don't know. Before Ted, got involved. Let's get this call. We'll get back to Ted. Oh, welcome to the Mouthpiece. It's Mike and Josh.
Yeah, hey, Mr. Madison. How are you, man?
Good, man. Thanks for calling. Who am I talking to?
This is Ken from California. Called in once before.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for the call, man. What's been going on?
Yeah. Not a whole lot. Congrats to Mr. Arieh, the Player of the Year. That's pretty awesome.
Man.
Yeah, blast from the past, man. When I heard you got Player of the Year, I was like, oh, wow. I remember that, dude.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's cool, man. I appreciate the love.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I was wondering, what did you guys think about, if you guys even watched it all, that heads-up match between Durr and Helmuth?
I did not watch the last one that Phil won.
Mm-hmm.
I did watch the one before where Phil lost. And I know he's got another one coming up, I think next week against Tom, for it's like 400,000 each. It might be the week.
Right.
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure Phil told me it was the end of the month. So.
Oh, sweet. Well, that was going to be my question, dude. Right on. Because you can't find really any information if Phil is going to rematch him or not,
Well, Phil, I don't know if you follow Phil on Twitter, but he'll post when it's coming up. I'm pretty sure he told me it's because they have the head-up tournament going on. They have all the head-up tables that I think it's either the day before the head-up tournament or the day after. He's playing Tom for I think it's the day before. I think it's next week. But I'm not positive on this. But you could check if you have a Poker Go subscription, you'll be able to see if that's what's coming up or not. I'm not positive. So.
Okay, yeah, I have Poker Go. I stay out of the Twitterverse though, so I don't see.
Staying out of the Twitterverse is smart. Twitterverse is very negative, very ugly.
Yeah, toxic, dude.
It's so toxic. I've tried really. I mean, if you look at my tweets, I went through a phase of tweeting like 10, 12, 15 times a day. I mean, I get passionate about something. Like I was so passionate. I was so passionate about these horrifying COVID policies that I just had to keep putting my 2 cents in. And it kind of took over me because it really bothered me so much of the masking, what they were doing to the young kids when it was proven that masking does nothing to stop you from getting COVID. And they kept pushing it. So I was really against the mandates and the masking, and I went pretty nuclear on Twitter over it. And luckily they've kind of removed them, and so I backed off. But it's very toxic. It's very toxic. So.
Yeah, because I think like no matter what it just becomes like consuming. That's what happened to my sister, and I was just like, dude, I don't want to get involved with the Facebook and the Twitters and the Instagrams. I'm like, nope, not for me, dude. Okay. So cool, man. That was really my main question was if they were Helmuth was going to rematch him again. Cause that'd be sweet to watch.
He is
because they're 1-for-1, so it'd be like a rubber match, if you will.
Yeah. Well, I got to go. I got to talk to Josh. He's got to go in a few minutes. I appreciate the call, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
Cool. All right. Be good, guys.
All right. Thanks. So, so let's, going back to, so we're going to talk about, we talked about PocketFives. Before you go, Josh, I've had 4 bracelets since 2013. This will be my 9th year, 8 years without one. I've made, I don't know how many final tables. A lot of it in my mind, I feel like since my injury, a lot of times late in a tournament, I get a little bit tired. I lose a little bit of focus. And like I said, I haven't ran the best. Last year, I made my first bracelet bet. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. I'm probably going to do it this year because I really like the way I'm playing. But let's go back. You told me you had. Let's end this on a note on a fun story that you told me you had about the time you were gambling with Michael Jordan. What was that all about? I
actually shared that story. It's not that. I shared that story last week on the Cracking Aces podcast, but I'll give you a better story.
Okay.
It's,
you have so many gambling stories. Let's hear a couple before you go.
Jordan is just about why I really dislike him, because I had a really bad experience with him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so like rewind to like 2002. Mm-hmm. I had a horrible World Series and basically came home broke. Mm-hmm. I had $2,000 to my name and $2,500 in bills due. And the second the plane lands, I'm on the phone, just like calling around, calling a buddy, anybody knows of a poker game, because I've been gone for 4 or 5 weeks and I want to get back in action. Mm-hmm. And I call my buddy David Wu, and
David Wu, I remember him. Yeah.
Yeah. I asked David Wu, I was like, David, do you have in your game tonight? I got to get in action. I'm messed up. And he's like, well, actually, what I'm doing right now is I'm driving around town finding all the money that everybody owes me, and I'm going to the gym to shoot 3-pointers against this bookie. Mm-hmm. And Wu is an amazing shooter. And Wu is like a 5'4" Asian kid who I'd known for a long time. And the bet was that he could make 70 3-pointers out of 100. Mm-hmm. And back then, shooting hadn't evolved the way it is, and everybody looked at it as, you know, an NBA player doesn't shoot 70%, so how the hell can this guy shoot 70%?
Well, they can when nobody's guarding him. Huck C can make 70 out of 100 easy.
You know, we're talking 20 years ago, right, and people are just looking at it as NBA players don't shoot 70%.
Right.
So I was like, damn, well, I know you can do it. Swing by my house, pick me up. I've got $1,500. Let me borrow $2,000 and I'll bet $3,500. So I get home from the airport, change clothes. He's in my driveway waiting for me, and we're off. So like it's noon and we're supposed to meet at this gym that's right around the corner. And we go to this gym, and it's a church gym, and we meet the bookie there. He's out in the parking lot, and this guy is the biggest smartass ever. He's talking about busting these 2 kids, and because he's older, and we were like, I don't know, we were in our 20s. And so he's thinking he's going to bust us. And we walk in the gym, the lights are out, and there's a guy working on one of the rims. So mm-hmm. I look at Wu, and I'm like, man, something's up. So the guy is done working on the rim.
Did he know you guys were coming?
Yeah, I guess that he was late doing it or whatever. I don't know. So Wu starts shooting shots, and every ball is hitting the front of the rim. So we figured out that they had the goal raised by like 1 inch. And so Wu was like, no, we're not going to do it here. No way. Well, the bookie, he sees Wu miss 1 million shots. So he's like, screw it. Let's find another gym. You know, he's going to win 30,000 because Wu just sat there and missed like 20 in a row and could never get the ball over the rim.
Right.
And so we go to another gym, and the goal ends up being too loose. And then it's like, we're about to call it off. And the bookie's like, all right, I know one more place. We go to this gym, and by now it's like 4:00 and everybody's, you know, the gym's getting packed. We go to this place called the Concourse.
I got a story for you that is about shooting basketball. As soon as you're done, go ahead.
So the court, the gym is 3 levels, but they're all open around the court, so you can see the basketball court from all 3 levels. Okay. And so we tip a guy working there $20 to stop the basketball game. And so now all the people that were playing basketball are watching, and we're getting a tape measure to the rim, and we're making sure it's 10 feet. Well, we decide, okay, we're going to do it. So now Wu, the 30,000 for Wu is every dollar to his name. Wow. Like literally he drove around Atlanta for 3 hours collecting money that people owed him.
People don't understand, like back in the day when we gambled, a lot of times, like I know I've gambled my case, put all my money on something. I mean, that's just what we did because we were young and stupid, but go ahead.
Right. So now we start, and I'm rebounding for him, and like I feel like there's just a ton of pressure on me. I've got to get the pass to him perfect, and so he makes 2 out of the first 10, and the thoughts in my mind at the time were just the absolute worst ever, and I'm thinking I'm going to be broke and I can't pay my bills. And now I'm not only going to be broke, I'm going to owe. And well, he ends up heating up a little bit. And at the halfway point, he was a little behind. But when we got to where the last 10, and at this point, everybody's watching because all the people are watching on the court. There's people around the outside on the second and the third levels just over there watching this little guy shoot 3-pointers. And so now with 10 left, he needed to make 7 of the 10, and he made 3 of the first 5. So when it got down to the last 5, he needed 4 of the last 5, and he made 4 in a row for his whole bankroll. And it was like the celebration. We did the old huge chest bump, and he was much smaller than me, and I kind of got him good. But the bookie was a good sport, and we went straight to his car, and he paid us all the money. And so now I went from not being able to pay my bills, and I won $3,500 there. So now my bankroll is like $5,000, and I went and played 15-30 that night, and I won like another $7,000. So I went, and that's basically the last time that I was really scratching for money. And
oh, that's good.
But yeah, that was one of my cool gambling experiences.
That's it's so funny you bring that up, and I don't know if you remember. I think you might have been there in 2004. We were in Reno. I think it was the second or third WPT event that they had ever had, and we're looking for a gym because Mike Wattell wants to bet me $10,000 that he can make, I think it was 8 out of 10 free throws left-handed. I'm like, okay, let's go, right? So we're looking for a gym. This is literally like 3 a.m. in Reno, like 4 a.m, right? We've been playing all night because the sun was just coming up. We go to one place, can't get it, go to another place. Anyways, to make a long story short, I win the bet. He makes only 7 out of 10, but so I'm up 10,000. But because I'm a sicko, they got me making all these other bets, and by the time I left there, I lost like 50,000 because as you know, who's the worst prop bettor you've ever met? Me.
Good.
Me.
They
right?
dusted off 10,000 because they knew what you were.
Exactly. And so I looked, back then, I've lost people ask me, what's the worst prop bet you ever made? And without a doubt, I wanted to bet 5,000 that Shawshank Redemption won Best Picture. And Doyle Brunson's at the table. He says, Mike, do not make that bet. I've made that bet, and it cost me 5,000. Well, I know you're wrong, Doyle. So here's Doyle telling me not to make the bet, and I still made the bet and lost 5,000. That's the worst prop bet I've ever lost, when the guy's telling me not to do it. So anyways, Josh, I appreciate you having you on. I think we covered a lot on the show. For anybody out there that wants to take a piece of me or Josh or a lot of big names coming up here in the me during the World Series, Josh coming up here in the Heads Up. Like I said, the Heads Up's going to be a lot of fun to watch. It's going to be worth the investment if you want to take pieces. Check it out, PocketFives.com, and we appreciate having you on, Josh.
Mike.
Me and you go back a long ways. When you were at that final table of the PLO8, I looked right at you. Remember what I said to you? I said, how are you going to lose this with these guys? You looked at me, you laughed because you knew that you were never going to lose against the. There was 2 people never played fucking 08 together. I mean, I don't even know how they made that final table. And by the way, I am jealous as fuck of you winning the PLO8 because I want to win that title so fucking bad. You have no idea, that 10K PLO. So,
well, a couple months.
Yeah, I'm going to take a shot at it in a couple of months. It's we talk about markup. Out of 19 years, I made the 10K 08 limit. 11 out of 19 years final table. So it ain't luck. The one thing about people don't understand about the 08, when you look at the final 3 tables of 08, It's always the same people. It's kind of like No Limit used to be back in the day. And when Nathan Gamble went online and said, "Should I teach people how to play this?" I put back. I said, "Have you lost your fucking mind? Like, what's he gonna make? Like 50,000, maybe most, teaching people PL08 or 08?"
Mike,
like,
I still got to go, buddy.
You got it, my man. Hey, take care. Thanks again. Have a good one. All right, Josh is gone. Thanks for being on the show. Appreciate it. Yeah, so, of course, I'm definitely jealous that Josh won the PL08 10K because it's definitely a title that I believe I'm the best PL08 player in the world, and I want to win, and hopefully I'll do it this year at the World Series. Me and Josh used to play 75, 150 Omaha 8 or better, like fucking zillions of hours back in the day. Josh was a really good Omaha 8 or better player, and he's also one of the best PLO players in the world. So when I saw him at that final table and he was playing against one guy who was a PLO player, never played PLO 8, Jeff Gross was there. Hang on one second. Mom, I'm doing a podcast. I'll call you back as soon as I'm done, okay? Bye. And so, I looked at the field. I'm like, there's how you're going to lose, and he won it. So good for him. Good World Series for Josh.
Hey, tell them a reminder because they're still asking, where can they buy pieces of you?
What's that?
They're still asking in the chat. Remind them one more time.
Okay, so where you could buy pieces of me at this year's World Series will be at PocketFives.com. I might be selling some at U-Stake like I did last year, but I am, Phil only owns a tiny piece where Josh has a big piece, and so there's a good chance that I'll be probably selling it at PocketFives. I don't have an account set up there, but I will. I will be selling 50% of my 10Ks between 1.2 markup and 1.5. The ones that'll be 1.5 will be the main event, the Stud 8 and the Omaha 8 and the PLO 8, and the rest will be between 1.2, probably be about 1.2. So I can afford to put up my own money in every event. Maybe I should. I've only had 2 losing years at the World Series of Poker. So when people want to say that I overcharge, just remember this. I've only had 2 losing years at the World Series of Poker. Last year, it looked like I was going to have a massive World Series. Somehow only found a way to win $22,000. I could just take away 3 or 4 hands and I win $1 million. That's poker. So we'll see what happens. My confidence is high. My game is great. I've won a lot of money playing poker since COVID started. Since about 2 months before COVID started. Since November of 2019, I won a lot of money. I'm just coming off. I just booked my first losing week in 24 weeks because I jumped in a game late last night and played like shit. That's 6 months without a losing week. And I'm not trying to brag, but my No Limit Hold'em game's really good, and I've ran good. I'm not stupid. You got to stay humble. You got to stay focused, and understand you've ran good, but you've played great, and you got to do both to succeed. It's very, very humbling that with what I've been through with my injury, with going broke because I was 15 months bedridden. Then I tried to play my way through it when I was in pain, and things got very bad for me. But it's 2022. I do not think financially I've ever been in a better spot. Mentally, I don't think I've been in a better spot. I've worked my ass off to put myself in this spot, and I owe very, very little money. I'm just about out of debt. I started this fiasco $783,000 in debt 2 years ago, and I think that number now is under 100. So listen, it's like I always say, work hard in life, good things will happen. Don't play the victim. I played the victim from 2014 to 2019, blaming the world for my injury. Once I stopped doing that, things really improved. So, it's a 2-hour podcast. It's a great podcast. We didn't talk anything politics today, which I'm sure we'll do in the next show. I will keep you informed on exactly my involvement with 52 Social. This should be ironed out here in the next 2 weeks. But as soon as the World Series is over, this I know, I will be moving to Austin, Texas, and I will be having a very big affiliation with 52 Social. So it's a big move for me. It's a big move for my cats. It's a little scary. You lived in one place for 44 years. It is, I get a little bit of anxiety over it, but I know deep down inside that the money is all going to be in Texas. Texas poker is going to be the poker capital of the world. And like I said, I make a prediction. In 10 years, the World Series of Poker will be somewhere in Texas. I might be wrong. I've been wrong before. That's my opinion. And that's about it. If you want to join my home game online, $250 in chips for $200. Email mouthpoker@yahoo.com. Mouthpoker@yahoo.com. $250 in chips for $200. I have an online game. Goes every day. $1-2 PLO. $1-2 no limit. If you want to join, I play about an hour a day. And we'll see you next week. We're going to start getting guests on here every week again. And I'll keep you informed how I'm doing mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, and how I plan on smashing the World Series this year. Have a great, great week. Thanks for listening to The Mouthpiece.
The Mouthpiece.